Emma, a childhood friend and my ex-girlfriend, had an accident.
It all started with a sudden phone call from Lucas.
I'm taking the day off work to attend the funeral. Don't worry about dinner for me,
he said, rapidly speaking, and was about to hang up. Feeling something was off, I finally stopped him. Despite Lucas's plans to urgently take off work and attend the funeral, he seemed to not want me there, avoiding giving me details. Persistently questioning the reluctant Lucas, I managed to find out the location, and somewhat forced accompanied him to the funeral. There, I witnessed something unbelievable.
That's why I told you not to come. I didn't want to hurt Ava.
Despite being hurt by him, those were Lucas's words. Filled with confusion and disappointment at being betrayed by my only partner, I was at a loss for words. But I couldn't let Lucas have his way with the situation. I decided to take a stand against Lucas. I'm Ava, turning 37 this year, a housewife living an ordinary life with my kind albeit timid husband Lucas. Our life changed drastically due to a lie Lucas persistently told. That lie, born out of Lucas's personality, not only affected our marriage but also led to an unbelievable incident involving many people. Thinking back, there was a time when Lucas seemed a bit off for a few days. I thought he was ill and asked him, but he always said, "It's nothing." Yet Lucas appeared anxious and often spent the day looking at his mobile phone. Is there really nothing wrong?
It's fine. I'm just busy with work, that's all.
Do you have some work waiting for a response?
Yeah, something like that.
Since he said that, I didn't push any further. The strangest Lucas ever acted was after receiving a phone call from his company.
Ava, what are you doing?
Just got back from shopping.
Actually, I got a call saying Emma, a childhood friend and my ex-girlfriend, died in an accident.
He told me it was about attending the funeral of a woman who was his childhood friend. Shocked by the sudden news, I felt something was off when Lucas, speaking rapidly, was about to hang up the phone, so I stopped him. The situation is too sudden to understand, but shouldn't I go with you?
It's okay. She was an old friend, Ava. You don't have to come.
But what about you going alone? Can you at least tell me where it is? Despite his plans to urgently take off work and attend the funeral, Lucas didn't want me there and avoided giving details. Still, thinking I should go if she was an important friend of my husband. I persistently questioned Lucas and found out the location. And at the funeral I reluctantly attended, I saw something unbelievable. What on earth is Lucas doing? As soon as we arrived at the funeral, Lucas and I were guided separately, and I was directed to a corner. Where did Lucas go? I wondered, looking around. The atmosphere was cold and I felt scorned. Feeling uncomfortable and anxious, I was looking for Lucas when I saw it. Lucas undoubtedly was giving a eulogy as a representative of the family. Unable to understand why Lucas was doing that, I was simply confused. Lucas, acting like the deceased's husband, was like a stranger to me, leaving me in turmoil. Ignoring my distress, the cold stares from the others weren't just my worries. They pierced me mercilessly.
So noisy.
A man who seemed to be a friend of the deceased clicked his tongue, and I just had to bow my head and keep quiet. Clutching my handkerchief, I could only pray for the funeral to end soon. After what felt like an eternity at the funeral with almost no other memory, I immediately rushed to Lucas to ask for an explanation. Why were you acting as a representative of the family? What's going on?
That's why I told you not to come.
What do you mean? As I pressed for answers, Lucas with a stern face began to speak. Despite wanting a convincing reason, Lucas would only give vague answers like,
because of an old relationship.
Moreover, while talking to me, he said he had something to do and tried to leave me again to return to the funeral venue. Wait, explain it to me properly.
That's what I've been saying.
There's no way I can accept such a reason. Our conversation leading nowhere was interrupted by Emma's mom, Mia. What's this dispute?
Mia.
Sorry to interrupt, but there are still matters like inheritance procedures we need to discuss, so I have to go. Inheritance? I blurted out in surprise. I was still trying to comprehend why Lucas acted as the family representative and now being involved in inheritance discussions of a friend's estate only deepened the mystery, sending me into panic. Wait, what do you mean inheritance? Why Lucas? What are you talking about? Isn't that rather rude? I'm sorry, but why is my husband handling the inheritance procedures? What are you talking about? Mia looked at me confused, but then exclaimed something. As if she had understood something, she mocked me and dismissed me with a cold voice. So, that's how it is. Lucas will inherit our daughter's estate. But what does that mean? I'm saying it won't be given to you. That's not what I'm asking. Despite my attempts to understand the situation from Mia, our conversation hardly made sense and she just took Lucas away. Being treated so coldly by someone I had never spoken to, I was left standing there dazed. It was Lucas and Emma's friends, who I saw earlier at the funeral, who snapped me back to reality.
Trying to go after Lucas and even the inheritance? How greedy can you be?
I'm not after the inheritance. What on earth is going on? They too, like Mia, looked at me coldly. The attitude of these strangers, whom I had never interacted with, made me wonder if I had unknowingly done something wrong. Unable to stand their words, I asked for an explanation. And from their mouths, I learned something unbelievable. What on earth is happening? Despite being strangers, they approached me with scorn and revealed Lucas's terrible lie. Firstly, Mia and they seemed to think I was a stalker pretending to be Lucas's wife, attending Emma's funeral as an impudent woman. Wait, Lucas married Emma half a year ago?
Yeah, they couldn't live together because of you. You have been clinging to Lucas, haven't you?
According to them, Emma and Lucas were supposedly married for about half a year, but they couldn't live together because of me, a stalker, causing trouble for Emma? This absurd story left me speechless, but they refused to believe anything I said. No matter how much I insisted I was his real wife, they saw it as mere delusion. Waiting for Lucas to explain would only reinforce their stalker suspicions, so I had no choice but to go home alone. Back home, I was completely stunned, treated with contemptuous words, brushed off by Lucas, who should be my ally, and returning home alone, I felt utterly miserable. Alone at home, doubts and fears overwhelmed me. Am I the crazy one? It's just Lucas lying, right? Restless, I called my parents' house. Oh, what's wrong? Calling so late at night? Mom, Lucas and I are married, right? Of course, what are you talking about? It's obvious, but we had a wedding ceremony and our parents attended it. My mom, who knew we went together to get our marriage certificate, asked, is something wrong? Her gentle voice eased my tense heart and I ended up telling her everything that happened today. I didn't understand why Lucas would lie and why I'm being treated as the bad person. I don't know either. Mom seemed at a loss for words and fell silent over the phone. Then I heard voices in the background and it seemed Dad took over the phone, his deep voice reaching my ears.
I heard the story. Is Lucas there now?
He hasn't come home yet.
I see. I'll come over right now.
And Dad said that and hung up before I could react. Lucas didn't come home all night, and the next morning, Dad arrived first, ringing our doorbell.
Is Lucas back?
Not yet, it seems.
I see.
But I told Dad that Lucas hadn't returned yet. He said he would wait until he comes back and sat down in the living room. Normally quiet, Dad was tapping the table with his fingers in frustration.
Lucas acted as a family representative at the funeral, I heard.
Yes, his ex-girlfriend died in an accident.
Did you know anything about it?
No, he evaded my questions. That's why he said not to come. I answered honestly and Dad let out a deep sigh. Lucas finally returned home in the afternoon looking exhausted. Dad immediately said in a low voice,
Let's hear your story. Mason, why are you here? I came to understand the situation. What's going on?
Initially annoyed at me for telling Dad, Lucas glared at me but soon shrank under Dad's stern look and sat down, trying to evade with vague excuses like he did with me, but Dad wasn't having any of it. Lucas initially tried to make it seem like my misunderstanding, but he was easily cornered by Dad.
She asked me to. She had no father. Still, there's no obligation for you to take on that role. It just happened. So, Ava was slandered by the deceased's family and friends by chance? That's why I told her not to come. I didn't want to hurt Ava.
Unable to escape, Lucas finally confessed under Dad's questioning. When I asked, what do you mean? Lucas, scratching his head irritably, began revealing unbelievable things.
They insisted, so I casually dated her, but if they found out I was married, I didn't know what they would say. So I kept quiet, and then she cornered me into marrying her.
What are you saying? Do you realize what you're saying?
I do, but I couldn't just say it was all a lie now. So you kept lying, thinking it would be fine if no one found out?
Unaware of Lucas's lie, Emma pressured him to marry, but of course, since he was married to me, that was impossible. If Lucas had confessed earlier, it would have been better, but he got trapped in his own lies and tried to make me the villain to continue his deception.
I thought I could cover it up by making Ava out as my stalker.
How could it come to that? First by Emma and Mia to even write a marriage registration when Lucas felt trapped with no way out, he fabricated me as his stalker. He lied about handling the marriage certificate himself and kept postponing the wedding with the excuse of waiting until our issues were resolved. Lucas's clumsy lie couldn't last long, but with Emma's death, he couldn't back out and ended up acting as a representative for the family at the funeral.
That's why I thought if I just got through this funeral, I'd be free from Emma and everything would end peacefully without anyone getting hurt. But then Ava had to insist on coming to the funeral.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Ava wouldn't have been hurt if she hadn't known.
It sounded like a child's excuse. With his lips pursed in dissatisfaction, Lucas continued to complain, oblivious to Dad's growing anger sitting next to him. His attitude of blaming me, saying if Ava had just kept quiet, was so ridiculous that I started to laugh.
What's so funny?
I didn't know I was your stalker. Dad patted my back, thinking I had lost my mind. Lucas looked at me with furrowed brows and a worried expression. I continued laughing. You came home to a stalker's house, ate the food a stalker made, and bathed in a stalker's prepared bath?
It's different. I had to lie because of how things turned out.
Different how? Coming up with a stalker story and then coming back here as if nothing happened? My words made Dad tremble with anger while Lucas remained silent, head down. I kept talking. I was such an inconvenience, right? You wanted a happy marriage with Emma. Sorry for being a stalker in the way.
No, I mean...
Lucas, who had been complaining, was now speechless, hunched over. What do you have to say for yourself? A silence followed until Dad slammed his hand on the table.
Enough. Do you realize how much your lies have hurt our daughter? I'm reflecting on that. If you're reflecting, then call Mia and her friends and explain everything. But things were going so well until now. No excuses. You've tarnished our daughter's reputation.
Dad, furious like never before, grabbed my hand and stormed out of the house. Back at my parents' house, a worried mom greeted me. I was still laughing, saying I'm fine, which only made her more anxious. However, it seemed like this only made Mom more anxious, so she just patted my back and told me to take it easy. After that, Lucas called several times, but I left all communication to Dad. Taking Mom's advice to relax, I started to feel better, but also increasingly disturbed by Lucas's bizarre lies. About 2 weeks later, Lucas said he was ready to talk, so I went with my parents to the designated place. Lucas is stalker here?
Ava, I'm sorry. Ava, stop it.
As soon as I arrived, the stares from the people already gathered made me laugh again defensively. And Dad scolded me as I sat down, and when Lucas tried to sit next to me, I shooed him away. Start explaining what's been going on. Lucas, what exactly do you want to discuss? Surely not that you were cheating with this lady. Mia, clearly despising me, asked Lucas with visible discomfort. The other friends there glared at me, siding with Lucas. Lucas, for his part, looked resigned but still hopeful for Dad's and my forgiveness. Of course, no sympathy was given, and I urged Lucas to speak in front of his late-arriving parents. Are you going to tell the truth, or am I your stalker forever?
Everyone, I have something to apologize for today.
With a lack of confidence in his voice, Lucas finally started speaking. The truth was, I was married to him. Lucas hadn't submitted a marriage certificate with Emma. Until the funeral, he seriously thought he wouldn't be caught if he pretended I was a stalker. He confessed everything.
So you were treating your own wife as a stalker?
Pretending to be married to that girl cheating on us in plain sight? As the truth slowly came out, Lucas's friends murmured and Mia turned red and then pale, looking like she might collapse. Dad would clear his throat loudly to steer Lucas back on track whenever he tried to be vague. Hearing all this, I started crying. Though I had been laughing earlier, Lucas had always been weak-willed, often overworked, coming home late. I thought I had been supporting him as a wife. I may not have been perfect, but I believed we were a happy couple. Yet it seemed I was the only one who thought so. After all this, I couldn't help him anymore. Lucas, turning pale as he explained, couldn't bear the stares and choked up, looking at me for help. I couldn't stop my tears seeing his pitiful face.
Ava, I'm really sorry. Please don't cry.
Whose fault do you think it is? Lucas interrupted his explanation, touching my shoulder like a devoted husband sympathizing with my sorrow. Knowing his kindness was all to protect his pride and lies, my suppressed anger exploded. How dare you treat someone as a stalker and say such things? Ava, I'm not crying for you. I'm crying because I'm embarrassed to realize I had such a pathetic husband. In the private room of the restaurant, I yelled at Lucas unabashedly. Lucas was shocked to be yelled at, and then he started crying quietly. His parents remained silent throughout, unable to keep up with what their son had done. In the end, the gathering ended with Mia and friends apologizing to me.
Ava, I'm really sorry. You'll come back home today, right?
Stop it, it's disgusting. I realized we couldn't understand each other when Lucas suggested we go home together. He was surprised when I refused, not expecting it. His parents apologized profusely and took him home. Lucas thinking a simple confession would suffice for forgiveness seemed alien to me.
Ava, you must be tired today. Go home and rest.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll handle the rest.
We went back to my parents' house, leaving everything to Dad. My parents comforted me, and I finally felt the betrayal of my husband. Later, with Dad's help and despite Lucas's reluctance, I managed to get a divorce. The house we lived in was sold, and I received the money as alimony. Lucas went back to his parents' house penniless. He was condemned by Mia and shunned by friends who learned the truth. His family didn't support him either, and he led a pitiful life.
Finally, I understand I did something terrible. If you have any feelings left, could you give me another chance?
There is no chance or feelings left. Lucas called once after the divorce, hoping to reconcile. He thought if I forgave him, everything would be fine. When I said no, he blamed me for making things worse, and I hung up. I don't know where he moved or what happened to him, and I don't care. I moved with the money from the divorce and started working. Surrounded by sincere and kind colleagues, I'm enjoying my work.
Ava, how are you doing? Any troubles?
I'm fine now. I'm actually enjoying my work.
That's good.
Dad's calls increased after that. Mom said he's worried about me in his own way. I don't want to marry again, but I've come to appreciate my family more. Work is going well, and I feel I found my own happiness.